In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? I think that my media product follows the conventions of other typical media products in the industry in the romantic comedy genre. However, I do think that there are some themes which actually develop the convention, because until very recently it has not been very common for adultery to be featured in films. However, I have included this to make it seem like a coming-of-age sort of film. Also, my media product uses music as well as narration throughout.
If you'd have asked me a year ago what life would be like right now, I would have described something completely different to the life that I'm living.
Which is common in this genre, as it sets the scene and also gives an insight into what you cannot physically see going on. The title of the film is short, and the typography which I used was to represent the genre, hence the red and black theme. Red suggesting love, lust and passion, but also anger, which is represented at the start, and the black suggesting mystery and elegance, which represents the main character in her life. I have also made the title big to attract the attention of a consumer, and I have placed a red title on a contrasting black background. The style of the title is girly, as it is targeted at a more female audience rather than a male audience. The setting of my media product is in a work environment and also playful environment, which creates a contrast. However, this is a very profound setting in most romantic comedies, such as Bad Teacher. There are very few props used in my media product, as there is no change of scene which would require any of these props. The costumes are just casual clothing, as I wanted my media product to be informal, although the setting could have suggested otherwise. The editing of my media product was simplistic, as I didn't want to take any attention away from the actual content. As well as this, the story of my product is represented well according to my audience feedback, which shows that it is about a failed relationship and how the main character chooses to overcome this. There is not much of an introduction for the character, as it delves straight into the story itself. However, it is clear to see who the main character is due to the narration over the top.
But things were about to change.
The codes and conventions of romantic comedies mainly include a happy ending closer to the end of the film. I think that my film would follow this convention, as I would not want to challenge such an important and popular convention. I feel that this would also help sell my film and be more of an attraction to my female audience. The mise-en-scene featured in my film is typical of a work environment expressed through the desks and computers. My media product follows Roland Barthes' code theory, as I feel that my product is an open text in some places, as it can be left to the interpretation of the audience, but on the other hand, in other places, the message is clear in the way that it comes across. Although of all the codes in his theory, I think that my media product would be closest to his Enigma code, as I would hope that there would be tension building up throughout the film, and that the audience would be left wondering what would happen next in regards to the main character's life. Also, due to my media product being a romantic comedy, there are conventions from both the romance and comedy genre which relates to Stephen Neal's genre theory. I also think that similarly to the film The Ugly Truth, my media product also adheres to Levi Strauss's narrative theory due to the binary opposites present in my film, the main one being male versus female. The theory of equilibrium can also be applied to my film, however my media product in some ways can challenge this theory, as it starts with a disruption to the equilibrium and ends with the equilibrium being restored. My media product seems to make sense to my target audience by setting the scene for the rest of the film and also leaving the audience to wonder what may happen next. Although my media product was filmed in a school and in a playful environment, I do think that this has benefited my idea, as it was intended to look as if it was in a work environment, which is closely related to the school environment. However, in some ways, this could have hindered my film if the audience found this location to be somewhat distracting and unrealistic. The characters in my film are also typical of a romantic comedy, as it features a female and her boyfriend, while soon-to-be ex and other women who are currently with a female's boyfriend. These characters may be recognisable to the audience as they are commonly seen in romantic comedies linking to Vladimir Propst's character theory. My media product seems to grab my audience's attention and in some ways introduces the main character to the audience with the use of her narration. According to my audience feedback, many said that they would want to view the rest of my media product. However, the start of the film could leave some viewers confused if they do not realise that the female in the still image at the beginning is the one narrating the story, as it is her personal story.
If you'd have asked me a year ago,
the narration worked well on my media product, as I felt that this is a common convention in romantic comedies and it seemed realistic and conveyed a lot of emotion. However, it was not very funny, which is a problem which I faced and had trouble with, as the situation was quite serious. This was effective though, as it helped the main character gain control over her boyfriend by showing the still image to be flipped, showing that she was the one in control. A part which didn't work well for me was the filming of a shot reverse shot where the names of the actors were displayed. This didn't work well because of the filming of the male. I felt that the shot was filmed too high, which made the male look somewhat distorted. The music used apparently worked well with my media product, but the lyrics of the song may confuse the audience as it talks about falling in love by the ocean, when really the characters are in a work environment. Most of the clips in my film at the beginning are short, however towards the end they tend to get longer in duration as there is much more content which needs to be shown. The music is also dipped out when the narration begins to attract attention more to the narration and away from the music as such. How does your media product represent particular social groups? I have chosen to represent those between the ages of 15 to 24 who are female. For example, my main character. The characters in my media product are from a variety of different ethnic backgrounds, showing a diversity and hopefully allowing my film to appeal to a much wider audience, as there would be a greater representation of different ethnic backgrounds. A character like the one I have chosen to represent in other similar media products is Carly Whitten, who is played by the actress Cameron Diaz. She is in the film The Other Woman. Like my character, Carly Whitten is outgoing and a social person. This is similar to the side which I wanted to represent of my main character. I wanted to show my main character as someone who was in control and who is okay with being a strong, independent woman. This media product breaks the conventions of the males dominating the females. In this case, it is actually reversed. The representation of my character is not exactly stereotypical for this genre, because in most cases the woman would usually want to find a man, whereas my character chooses to let them find her instead. Yet they are similar in the way that the character has several friends around them, and also likes to enjoy certain things. In my opinion, I think that my representation of this character is likely to have a positive effect as it shows women as being strong and independent. And in order to represent the independent, strong woman, I ensured that the dialogue used was direct and straight to the point to reflect the main character's personality and show that she doesn't allow people to walk all over her and control her. The ending scenes of my media product show that the main character is the one in control, as she leaves the man alone and lost. The clothing for the females used was very basic, as I wanted to show that they did not care about the way that they were perceived by men, but planned on wooing men with their personality showing their intelligence and demeanour. The ages of my characters are all between a similar age range, which could limit the representation of all ages. However, due to the target audience I have chosen to target my film at, I feel that this would not affect how they view my film. The characters in my media product are heterosexual, as there was a limited amount of actors who were willing to feature in my media product. However, by doing this, I was able to represent the heterosexual groups of people in certain communities. Yet I was willing to use homosexual characters in order to represent a different side of the community, and also allow my film to appeal to different audiences. The different genders are also represented, however males are not represented in a typical way. The female here is shown to be superior. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? A media institution is a company which owns several other companies within a film, such as Universal, who own Universal Pictures, Universal Studios, etc. A production company supervises the filming of a film from concept to completion. I would like my film to be distributed by Universal Pictures, as they have produced a lot of successful romantic comedies, such as Leap Year and It's Complicated, to name a few. I think that my production company name, Rainy Day Entertainment, represents a genre of films which my production company would produce, which would typically be romantic comedies. It suggests that when they are having a bad day or the weather is putting you down, you'll be able to watch a film by Rainy Day Entertainment and be put in an instantly good mood. Financing my film may mean that I would have to go to a company such as BFI, as they welcome applications from both new and established filmmakers. They also provide a lot of support throughout the making of your film and are very well known as a good company in the industry. I could also use product placement to supply a small amount of the budget for my film. In my opinion, I think that my film would be similar to other films institutionally, such as The Ugly Truth and The Sweetest Thing. Both of these films are commonly known as chick flicks. This is because they are usually associated with the female audiences. The Ugly Truth was released first in North America in their cinemas, and several later it was released on DVD. This prolonged the media attention which the film received. I think that my media product could be very profitable. However, as there is a lack of merchandise which could feature with it, this would limit the amount of income coming in from this film. Yet the age classification for my film would be a 12, allowing a wider audience to view my film. A film would typically be exhibited in a cinema both nationally and internationally, depending on the popularity of your film, and the audience which would be attracted to the film and would enjoy the consumption of the content. Once demand has decreased for the film would then be withdrawn from cinemas, and several months later it would appear on DVD. I would hope that the DVD cover would attract audiences to want to buy the product. Before making the film, the producers and directors would first go to an institution to pitch their idea for the film and get their approval from the institution to fund the project. Popular film institutions are the BBC and Film 4, who produce popular films for a variety of audiences. However, there are many others. Who would be the audience for your media product? My typical target audience are likely to be female, as most of the themes in my media product are likely to relate to females. I would target my film at those who live in the UK, however this is open to people in other countries too, as I would hope that this would also be common in other societies, as well as the society which we live in. I feel that my film would be able to attract females from all socio-economic groups due to the content of my film. My target audience are likely to shop on the high street for certain items, but also shop in a much wider market such as the internet. They would also be open to listening to all types of music, especially as my media product features an indie song. I have used this music because I find that indie music is extremely diverse, as you can have indie rock or even indie pop.
We fell in love.
On the other hand, I would also hope that my target audience would be somewhat sophisticated and that they would get a message from my media product and hopefully be more independent. By looking into the different themes that would be portrayed in my film, I had to look at the specific audience which I would target my film at. I did this by conducting a questionnaire which I based my film around. This made it difficult to find appropriate themes which my target audience would enjoy without feeling guilty or uncomfortable. One of the main reasons why I chose to target my film at ages 12 and above was to increase the revenue which I could potentially receive after my film had been distributed and exhibited. Another reason for targeting this age group was because I felt that I had a better understanding of people within these age groups. Also, the fact that I chose to target a more female audience was due to the fact that I myself am a female, and I may be able to understand what they would want more than if I had targeted a male audience. I also feel that this age group and gender would enjoy the romantic comedy genre a lot better than any other age groups or genders. At this age, they may want to go out, have fun and enjoy themselves. I feel that this film is the perfect film to be able to do this to. Looking at other popular romantic comedies, I felt that the majority of them were also targeted at these particular groups. The younger age groups who view this film may not look into the deeper meanings. However, I am hoping that older age groups would try to get a meaningful message from this. How did you attract and address your audience? I've used certain ways to try and attract and address my audience. I have done this with the music I have used, the diversity in my characters, and also the themes in my film. The unique selling point of my film would be in the advertising and promotion in certain big retail shops. If it was possible, I would have promotions on certain products in order to promote my film but also boost sales for that company. The product used with the promotion would be featured in my film, which could also boost sales. Also, from the survey which I conducted, I asked what the consumers found most appealing about romantic comedies. I then tried to incorporate those themes into my media product, which I'm hoping would attract my audience, knowing that the themes which they enjoy in a romantic comedy are present. The distribution company which I chose to distribute my film, which was Universal Pictures, would hopefully attract my target audience, as Universal are a well-known distribution company who have distributed many successful and well-known films. After completing audience feedback on my media product, I tried to amend it according to the criticism that I received, allowing my media product to be more suited and appealing to my audience. The title of my film was also meant to attract my target audience, as it was intriguing and deal with it as a title is quite out there, which would make the audience think what the film will be about. I also tried to meet the needs and wants of my target audience, who are female, and I also tried to incorporate these things into my film to attract them to watch it. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? To produce my film, I have used a digital camcorder, a tripod and a computer, along with software to edit my film. From using the digital camcorder camera, I have learned certain important lessons, such as the use of lighting. This is due to some earlier mistakes which I made by leaving the curtain open, therefore allowing an exposure of light to come in and disrupt the filming of my media product. I have also learnt how important shot angles and sizes are to produce the best effect. I've used this in my media product to try and create a good atmosphere and also help the audience have a better feel for my media product. In certain shots in my original filming, I did not take into consideration how the audience will actually interpret the information. By changing the shot size from a medium shot to a close-up shot, the emotion from that scene came through a lot more, which created more of an effect. The tripod which I used was light, which meant that I could carry it around easily. However, at the same time, it also limited my media product, as it meant that at the slightest movement of the tripod, my filming could be interrupted. I used iMovie to edit my media product. This helped a lot because I am more used to iMovie than other software, which meant I could use it fluently and effectively. My coursework has been put out on Blogger for others to be able to view. This has also made it easier for me to work with, as I am much more familiar with Blogger. This site allows me to edit my work after publishing it, which was helpful as I could constantly add more things to my blog at any stage. In order to present my work in different ways, I have used PowerPoint, but to get this onto my blog, I use SlideShare in order to upload it. I've also used SurveyMonkey to conduct some primary research, like which subgenre I should choose for my film, and decided on the age range that I would target. Prezi was another program which I used to create a variety for the presentation of my work. This program is similar to PowerPoint, however the transitions are different, and in some ways it is more creative and looks much more professional. YouTube was another site which I used to upload large videos to put on my blog. This also allowed a wider audience to view my work and allowed others to comment on my work and give me feedback. A simple instrument I used which was critical for my work was an SD card and memory stick. This allowed me to transfer my work to several different platforms with ease. I have used both iMac and PC to do my work, as they both offer different experiences and levels of work. I started off editing my final piece using Adobe Premiere. However, I soon found out that the Adobe software was not suited to my needs, and so I made the decision to use iMovie instead. This change made me feel a lot more comfortable, as I felt that I was able to do the same level of work on iMovie that I would have been able to do on Adobe. However, iMovie is much more limited than Adobe, but I felt that I worked well with this, as I was still able to create a successful media product. Looking back at your preliminary task, the continuity editing task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to full product? When I filmed my preliminary, there were several things which I had yet to learn. Since learning from these mistakes, I had consequently made my final piece a lot better, I hope. However, after filming my preliminary exercise, I realised that the quality of the filming was not up to the standard which I had wanted it to be, yet I still continued to use the same camera, putting the quality of my video at risk. However, when it came to the audience feedback, I chose to use a different camera, which would hopefully benefit the quality and get a better atmosphere and quality of viewing for my audience. Also, in my preliminary exercise, I mainly used straight cuts. However, in my final piece, I decided to be a bit more adventurous and use other transitions such as wipe and fade, not only straight cut when editing my piece. I shot from several different angles in both my preliminary and final pieces, which had hopefully been at a higher standard in both. I also varied my shot sizes in my final piece to represent the character more. In my opinion, my preliminary video was very basic and had little variation, including the content and topic of conversation. I'm hoping that my final piece has taken these aspects and made them a lot better. As this was my first year of doing media, I felt that I had a lot to learn and catch up on. However, I can see an improvement in my work and feel that I have learned a valuable lesson with reference to working with camera and getting the picture quality to a good standard. I have also learnt how to execute certain camera movements successfully, such as panning, which I did not necessarily do very well in the preliminary task. I also think that due to the extensive amount of editing which took place, I feel a lot more confident with editing software, and also editing a lot faster and efficiently. I found that there were many problems with the starting of my final product, as I had to change my ideas several times. However, I did this because I felt that my original idea was not as good as I thought it would be, mainly because it had too much content for an opening sequence, or that the setting did not have enough variety. This left me with very little time and an urge to re-record an idea and get it edited. I spent a lot of time thinking about what my new idea could be and eventually came up with this one, hoping that it would convey the romantic comedy genre well. Also, the lack of variety in location and where I could film became a problem, as I had originally wanted to film in a social environment such as a bowling alley. However, I was not able to obtain permission from the company, which left me at a loose end and unable to get a sufficient location for my media film. The location which I ended up choosing was more of a last result, knowing that I had little time to get my main task finished. However, I do think that this benefited me in the end, as it made the film seem as if it panned over several days. After filming, I felt that I had used the space well and managed to come up with a reasonable opening sequence which would hopefully capture my audience.